All right, welcome to the Not Move Fantasy Football Podcast. Tonight, obviously, me and Otis breaking down more fantasy right before the season starts. I got two drafts coming up this weekend, so really got to crunch on some of these next later rounds. This is when we start getting into, a little bit of the sleepers. Some of the big names are already off the board. I think we should just start this off, Otis, with some of the big news today, huh?
Oh, yeah. I saw that we have at least two things we need to definitely cover before we start moving on for people's sanity, let's just say.
Right. So Scary Terry, right, signed a 3-year deal. Looks like he's getting approximately $32 million a year. This makes me feel a lot better after drafting him, right? My first draft that I did, I got him in the 5th round. Was worried about the contract situation. Looks like he's a full go now. This ups the value for him now. Don't you think he could go up even higher now?
Yeah, I think that now we've had everything settled down. Even in the last live or the pod that we talked about, don't be scared to take them because they were going to get the deal done. At the end of the day, their team doesn't move forward, in the real football world without him. After last year's appearance in the NFC Championship game. So, obviously everyone should be comfortable now drafting him in probably the 3rd round. I would say, in the upper 3rd round would probably be where he would go.
Yep. Like you said, constantly 1,000-yard guy. I definitely am a lot happier at getting the deal done today. Another big name that went today, he went back to the Raiders, is Amari Cooper. Now, we're covering round 5 and 6 tonight. I don't think he gets drafted quite this high, right?
No, but it does affect how you would draft Jacoby Myers. And the reason that is because he demanded that he have a trade, right? And that's the reason they bring in Amari Cooper. And now they have insurance in case this guy's an actual holdout. A little late to be a holdout, though, when we start this season in 10 days.
Yeah, crazy that it's happened this late, right? And then, obviously, doesn't really affect the Bengals defense because I don't think anyone's going to draft the Bengals defense, even with the Trey Hendrickson signing, right?
Right, yeah. Trey Hendrickson, great player on the field, obviously real football, big impact. Fantasy football with that defense, if you're taking them, it's because it's a matchup issue, and that's it.
Right, exactly. Any other news before we start breaking into the 5th round that you could think of today?
A whole lot of players are still hurt on the 49ers, if you want to know that.
Right.
We brought in Brian Robinson now as a backup to McCaffrey. And then also our draft pick, James, will also be the 3rd back. Guys that are still in the holding pattern, right, of injury, leaving the wide receiver position open. We still have Robbie Chosen as the last receiver on the roster active. But Ricky Pearsall is probably going to be the guy in the receiving core. And as we recommended last week, George Kittle's got to be a guy you target now early on with all these injuries happening for the perimeter players in the 49ers offense.
So we'll just dig right into it. I think when the top of the 5th round comes around to you, the big name, I think, out of all the names in the 5th round that really pop out to me is going to be DK Metcalf and probably Cortland Sutton.
Yeah. So we ended last podcast. We'll talk about Robinson in a little bit. We ended last podcast talking about Cortland Sutton. Should be a huge upside for him this year. Another year in the offense with Bo Nix in the NFL. Possibly getting reads done faster. And I don't see any reason why his production should curtail going forward.
And then another 2 big names that I like here at wide receiver at the top of the 5th round is going to be Devonta Smith, obviously from the Eagles. Now you're getting into the solid wide receiver 2s that can still give you wide receiver 1 upside, or at least be comparable, right? I think Devonta Smith finished last year with just over 800 yards. From a wide receiver to 2 to 3, depending on how you've drafted up to this point, I feel like Devonta Smith's a good pick here. And now this is the time when we want to start taking a little bit of flyers on these rookies, right? So Tet McMillan. I like Tet McMillan here at the top of the 5th too.
Yeah. When we talk about the improvement of Bryce Young at the end of last year, his numbers were pretty solid as far as the offense goes. Hoping that that trend will continue. Ted McMillan will be a huge target on that offense.
Another big name I like right here, and it's going to be the Ravens wide receiver one. It's going to be Zay Flowers. I like Zay Flowers a lot this year.
Yeah, and another guy I like that's also out there as a wide receiver one is Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is possibly going to be a target for Flacco. Obviously, we know that Gabriel and Pickett and Shadur Sanders are still on the roster. A team that carries four quarterbacks at this point probably doesn't have a lot of production at the position, but they're going to have to get the ball out. I don't see a whole lot of games where they're going to be ahead, even though they have that stout defense. They're going to be throwing the ball around quite a bit, I believe. And Jerry Jeudy, after the end of last season, that trade from the Broncos, is going to really have a sparkling year, I believe.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've never been really. This is why our rankings are a little bit different. That's why I like it. It's nice to have my perspective and kind of your perspective, because I'm not really high on Jerry Jeudy. I think that I probably wouldn't draft him in the 5th round. I mean, you see the wide receiver; he's a wide receiver one. I get that.
Yeah.
I just know the history of Jerry Jeudy, and if he stays healthy, yes, he can definitely finish with 5th round upside. But for me personally, I kind of see a clear from Jerry Jeudy, just maybe because I'm a Broncos fan. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little
Yeah, maybe
biased.
you're a little jaded. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. He's just a guy to me, just a
Yeah,
kid.
I hear you. Another two that we could consider here as well is Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Another guy in the Dolphins offense, right? Obviously, Tariq Hill being the number one, but Jalen Waddle being in number two, still a solid offense for Tua Tagovailoa if he can stay healthy.
And that's the kicker right there, right? I'm not high on Tyreek Hill this year. I'm not high on Jalen Waddle, just because I don't know about Tua. I don't know if
Yeah.
Tua's going to play 11 games. Most of the time, he'll play at least 11 games, right? He's burned me in the past. I'm steering clear from Jalen Waddle, even though if he's here, like middle round of the 5th round, I totally get why you're throwing Jalen Waddle out there. Again,
Yes.
I'm just going to tell you, I mean, I have him on my list right here, too. The one receiver I have above Jalen Waddle is George Pickens. Okay. And the reason I say George Pickens is because sometimes change of scenery is nice, right? If they are blanketing CD Lamb, throwing double coverage, it's one-on-one on the other side. You know what I mean? So I could see George Pickens actually finishing, pretty high this year.
Yeah. And another guy I like as well in the middle of this round is Jamison Williams.
Yeah.
A guy who's extremely explosive on that offense, getting 20 plus catches is one of his biggest assets. And as we know, in some of these leagues, you're getting points based on how many yards these guys are catching passes. And I mean, like the 20 plus, the 30 plus, the 40 plus, the 50 plus. So, I mean, he's second, I think, in the league behind Xavier Worthy as far as 50 plus touchdowns the last couple of years.
And then I think there's 2 big name quarterbacks that are still on the board that I think you definitely, if he's still here, right? We know some people go quarterback early. If Joe Burrow's here, it's kind of hard not to take him. You know what I mean? Middle of the 5th round. I mean, look at what he did last year. He's going to be airing the ball out. We know he's going to be airing the ball out. I mean, if it's your pick and Joe Burrow's sitting here middle of 5th round, late 5th round, even early 5th round, I think that it's kind of hard not to take Joe Burrow here if you like to value that quarterback position high.
Yeah, absolutely. As we both know, me and you are low on the quarterbacks. I believe it was 4 years ago. I was watching a podcast, and the guys talked about the difference between the top 4 and then those guys who are like 5 through 12 is like 25 points. So you're not, if you're getting Joe Burrow, he's probably the last guy that is going to be able to give you that real production, as opposed to the way that we see the people picking players after Joe Burrow. Those guys you can wait a longer time for them.
All right, let's read the comment that just came in. It's a 10-team half-point PPR league. He got Lamar, Derrick Henry, Trayvon Henderson, Tony Pollard, Malik Neighbors, Mike Evans, and Tucker Kraft are all his starters. With his bench, he has Diggs, Swift. He's got Robinson, Judy, Stevenson, Tank Bigsby, Drake May. Thoughts on my team? How you like that team, Otis?
So I see that you're trying to like these back end running backs that you have here. I mean, you have DeAndre Swift, who's a solid guy. Robinson could, I mean, let's face it, right? McCaffrey is a guy who gets hurt. So Robinson could be a bonus guy that you just didn't see coming, you
Yeah,
know? We've already had our thoughts, the differences between us and, me and Jerry Judy and you and Jerry Judy. Ramondre Stevenson, a handcuff. Tank Bigsby, a handcuff. Drake May will depend on how well he can adapt to guys in the offense. Like that Trayvon Henderson thing is going to help him. I
yeah.
swear. I think
Two
that
guys,
that
two
guy,
guys, two guys. There's three guys actually I really like on this team, right?
yeah.
I think Malik Neighbors is going to have a big season. I'm really high on Tony Pollard, and I'm really high on Trayvon Henderson. Obviously, we know what Derrick Henry. We were ranting raving about him early
Oh
in the
yeah.
episodes. I
Mhm.
love Derrick Henry. He's drafted way too late. I think you got him probably late. If it's a 10-man team, you
Yeah.
probably got him towards the back end of the of this 10-team league. And for you to get Derrick Henry at that cost, you won that round. Getting sleepers like Trayvon Henderson, I think Tony Pollard is a big sleeper. I think he probably went Neighbors. He probably had that back end for him to be able to get Henry and
Oh
Neighbors.
yeah.
If you got Henry and Neighbors to start your draft, your team's sitting pretty. And then he probably got Lamar. I'm guessing he probably got Lamar third round or fourth round. If you got Lamar on your team, there's some guys that take Lamar right away, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, we talked about guys taking him in the end of the first round, beginning of the second round. So I like the team. I mean, I think Tank Bigsby is probably the one I would not have touched, only because I feel like the rookie Bashal Tutin may be a guy who impacts that roster.
Right. All righty. Yep, you guessed that perfect order. Last pick in a 10-man.
Yeah,
Boom.
absolutely.
God, I just draft way too much,
Yeah.
too much mock drafts, and I
Hey,
got such a
and,
busy
and, and
weekend.
we've talked about that in the first episode. Guys, mock as much as you want. Mock 10, 15 times. You're going to get the flow of things, and you're going to be ready and prepared if you do that.
Yep. All right. So since we're at the back end of the fifth round, some guys that I had ranked higher, I've definitely dropped. Travis Hunter is supposed to be going right around this time, and Joe Mixon. Now we know that Joe Mixon's going to start on the pup list, so I've dropped him from my original rankings. And same with Travis Hunter. We're already seeing a little bit of an injury concern, right?
Yep.
And we don't know if the Jaguars decide, you know what, we're only going to put him in on, as a slot receiver. Is he going to be a starting corner? Is he going to be a slot corner? I mean, from what they say, he's gonna play both sides of the ball. But at the same time, like that worries me. If I'm spending a fifth round draft pick, the injury concerns definitely are looming. And if you're going to be on the field a lot, you know what I mean? If you're going to be playing defense, I might not pick you in the fifth round if you're going to be playing defense too.
Yeah, and something that people have to consider, right? I forget what receiver it was. I was talking about Travis Hunter, and he was a veteran receiver. I remember them saying, if you're playing offense and defense, that's 2 times as much as anybody else risking injury.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's a huge risk if you take Travis Hunter in this round.
Yeah, I'm like I said, these are guys that I originally, when I made my list, I'm like, might take a flyer on him. A lot's happened since I've made my top, my round by round list.
Yeah.
I've definitely dropped Travis Hunter down, and I've dropped Joe Mixon down, especially Mixon, because it's not looking good, especially for an older running back. And we talked about him on the last episode, right? We were unsure about how he was going to be. It don't
Yeah.
look good when you're starting the season on the pup list.
No, and also we said that we mentioned that they brought in Nick Chubb, right? They brought in Nick Chubb for a reason. They knew something, right? So they got Nick Chubb and Dameon Pierce now in that backfield, and I really feel like Dameon Pierce might have a resurgence here in this offense.
Right? Oh yeah. So at the end of the fifth round, this is one of my guys that I consider maybe a late fifth round sleeper that I really am high on this year, and either people love him or hate him. It's Calvin Ridley, right?
Yeah.
Cam Ward's
Agreed.
going to have a number one target. I feel like they're going to be playing from behind a lot, right? I feel like they're going to have to pass the ball a lot because they're probably going to be playing from behind. I am super high on Calvin Ridley in the 5th round.
Totally agree with you. Couldn't agree with you more, A-Train. And the thing is that, it still matters in these rounds when you're getting a 1, as opposed to settling on somebody who may be a 2, unless you're talking about a guy like T. Higgins, right? These guys now who are 1s in a bad offense, right, are still going to get fed the ball. Now, this isn't a guy who's going to get you, 1,500 yards, but he'll probably get you between 8 and 1,000.
Yep. I like him this year. I'm super high on him this year, Otis. I really am targeting this guy in this 5th round. Like high. I'm high on this guy. I might draft him before or late 5th round. If it depends on what pick you have, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And I would guess probably that Cam the Ham probably got Trayvon Henderson at the end of this round or beginning
Yep.
of the 6th round.
Yep. And that was the next name I was exact name I was going to bring up
Yeah.
right now.
Oh yeah.
So
I am
this is
very, very high on Trayvon Henderson.
Oh yeah,
Very
especially
high.
from what we've seen in preseason, right?
Yeah.
I got him in my first league. I made sure to draft him. I got him in this round, right? So this is kind of we drafted early in this league, and I got him in the top of the 6th round, and I thought it was a steal of a value, right? A lot of people are going to name this guy their early prediction sleeper, right? From
Yeah.
what we've seen in preseason to he looks explosive. And this is what I particularly call, right? So it's top of the 6th round, bottom of the 5th round. This is what I call the running back dead zone, right?
Yeah.
So if you have not drafted 2 to 3 running backs at this point, you're kind of panicking a little, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
But I'll tell you what, you don't have to panic too much, right? Trayvon Henderson's going to be there, and another guy that is on your team is also going to be there, and I'm super duper high on. When he gets into week 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way through the rest of the season, that RJ Harvey is going to be something to watch. I'm telling you right now.
Yep, he can catch passes out of the backfield. If you're in a half point, full point PPR league, you want a running back that's going to catch the ball out of the backfield. You don't know how if J.K. Dobbins is going to play the whole season. He's had the injury concerns. If he does take a little bit of a dip, Audric Estime fills in as that kind of like goal line short yardage back. So
Yeah.
you can really see a lot of huge production from RJ Harvey. You know, I like taking rookies. I do. I did it last year. I did it this year. Look at all the ones that paid off, right? And I wanted to kind of get into this because I've been watching some stuff on fantasy. Now, last year, right, fantasy was dominated by the running back, right? You had Saquon Barkley, 2,000 yards, right? Derrick Henry had a monster year. There was a lot of monster running backs that went early last year, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they're saying that it might be a changings of the tides where maybe it's smarter to go wide receiver heavy early, right? Now it all depends. Everyone has a different draft strategy, right? I normally like to go running backs early because this reason exactly, right? The dead zone, right?
Yeah.
But if you can find good value with an RJ Harvey or Trayvon Henderson, I am super high on both rookies and I think they can both have a great year.
Yeah. I mean, I really feel like, Mike Vrabel being the head guy there in New England, when he was at Tennessee, they loved to run the football. And I know they had Derrick Henry, so they could do that. But here's a guy who's not a Derrick Henry, but he's explosive as all could be. And RJ Harvey, the same way. I've actually saw RJ Harvey in person when UCF played Temple. Just the speed of this kid is unbelievable. You guys are going to be super happy over in Denver.
Yeah, and I think like with Sutton and RJ Harvey, those are the two Broncos. Because I try not to be a homer and just
Yeah.
draft all Broncos.
Yeah.
Because whenever you do that and you just stay loyal to your team and you take that to the fantasy world, it never pans out well.
No.
Right?
No, I actually avoid taking 49ers thinking I'm jinxing them like the Madden curse.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm a little worried about Saquon, right?
Yeah.
We'll
So
see, though.
a couple of veteran guys that'll still be available here, probably in the end of this 5th round or the top of the 6th, are DeAndre Swift and hold on one second. I just had Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones. So both of those guys, again, don't have to. You're panicking for sure, but make sure you make the right pick. If you got 3 stud wide receivers you think are 3 stud wide receivers and your quarterback, then absolutely by all means, wait. But at the end of the day, you've got to do whatever you think is best for your strategy.
Yep, and that's the so now you're getting into guys that have been in the league. They still can perform in this league, but you're looking at older guys, especially with the running back position. They get banged up a lot, right? They get hit a lot. This is why I'm not quite as high on DeAndre Swift and Aaron Jones right here, because they are older, and there are rookies in the backfield waiting to take their job, right? With Aaron Jones, right? Your former guy is back there
Yeah,
standing
Jordan
in the
Mason.
shadows.
Yep, Jordan Mason, and then on DeAndre Swift. I mean, he just seems to get hurt.
Yeah.
And Roshan Jones is back there, young guy.
And this is why I consider this the dead zone, right? The other third name I was going to bring up for available running backs when we're in the middle of the 6th round is going to be David Montgomery, right? I don't like split backfields, right? There's a time in Detroit, it was the last couple of years, where arguably you could start him and Gibbs, right? And still get points. But in my opinion, like David Montgomery, he has health concerns, right? He got banged up last year. That's when Gibbs really took off. It's just, this is where it gets rough. After Harvey and Henderson are gone, now we're bringing up the Swifts, the Aaron Jones, the David Montgomerys. I just don't feel as confident. Now, if I'm putting him in a flex spot, not a big deal. But if this is my number 1 or number 2 running back, that's an issue to me.
Yeah, I mean, if you're waiting for a number 2 running back in the 6th round, you're really putting yourself behind the 8 ball here. And at the end of the day, Montgomery's probably a solid choice because of his touchdown output. These other 2 guys, again, a little bit shaky.
All right, and then I kind of want to jump back to wide receivers that are available right here that I got an upside on. Juwan Jennings, your guy, right? I like Juwan Jennings a lot, right? Ayuk, what reports are he's not going to be back till week 6 or something, right?
Yeah, between week 6 and week 10. So you have a big window.
So I feel like if you get Juwan Jennings, middle to late 6th round, that's great value to me. If you land a number 1 on any team, right? He's arguably a number 1 on the Niners. I think that's great value for where you're drafting him at.
Yeah, and another guy I like at the receiver position is Chris Godwin. He's a guy who could have a lot of upside here. I mean, Mike Evans has gotten 1,000 yards for 11 straight years. We all talked about that before with comparisons to Jerry Rice, 11 straight years. But coming back from injury, I feel like Godwin may be able to give you something that these other guys might not be able to give you in the pass game. I feel like, along with your guy, Cooper Kupp is another guy, older, but could give you production with Sam Darnold. Again, he's a question mark. We don't know about him.
I'm going to go with the other Chris at this spot. I'm going to go with Chris Olave here. Okay. Injury concerns. There definitely are concerns with him. He's known for the hospital ball. He's known to go down in the season. The Saints are going to be behind. They're going to throw a lot. These are the guys that I'm targeting, right? I think of teams that are going to get, I think of wide receivers that are going to get a lot of targets and teams that are going to be playing from behind. And I feel like he can have huge upside just for the garbage time.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in New Orleans are believing in Spencer Rattler. I don't see it, but I mean, I guess if he's going to grow, I mean, Olave is going to be the guy he's going to get the ball to the most,
right?
Other than Alvin Kamara.
And then I want to hit on the one guy we've already brought up, right? And I think he might be dropping down my rankings after what happened today. That's Jacoby Myers, right? You're still getting high right in this rounds. You're getting high upside wide receiver 2s or the guys that are number 1s on a bad team. You know what I mean? So that's why Jacoby Myers, again, I think the Raiders are going to run the ball a lot, so I'm not quite as high. But Jacoby Myers is still technically, as of right now, the Raiders' number 1. Now, this Amari Cooper thing definitely devalued him, and this is why I have him dropping down my list right now.
Yeah, and the thing is, Geno Smith is the quarterback there. He can throw the football. Not such a big question mark as you see in Seattle with Sam Darnold. So, he's going to give you some output if he's going to be on the field. Again, late holdout here. Don't understand the situation, what's going on there. but at the same time, he looks like a guy who is going to be somebody who could get you some yards if they get this contract settled, even if it's week 2, before he plays,
And I mean, it's like we said, some people value quarterbacks high, some people value the tight end high. This is where I think Sam Laporta is going. Sam
Yeah.
Laporta, I mean, name value is rookie. You think about his rookie year. He burned me last year, right? He burned a lot of people last year. He had somewhat of a down year compared to like his rookie year. But Sam Laporta, if you're looking at big high end tight ends, Sam Laporta is probably still available somewhere in this round right here.
Yeah, and to answer JB's question, where do we put Rice at? We had him at the end of the 4th round, just because of question marks with his suspension. But going back to your Sam Laporta, I'll raise you TJ Hawkinson. I feel like TJ Hawkinson is going to be the security blanket that JJ McCarthy needs. Again, Addison not starting the year, right? So we could see an early high output for those weeks.
All right. The last wide receiver I have currently right here is Roma Dunze, right? He burned me again last year. I took a flyer with him late, right? I didn't know what to expect. They struggled on offense, you know what I mean? So maybe it was a combination of a bad offensive line that, he was a rookie. He didn't quite fit the system yet. Does Caleb get it together? I like Roma Dunze here. I like him late 6th round. I feel like I would be willing to maybe spend a late 6th round pick on this guy. Again, I know he burned me last year, but I feel like he's still young. He still showed that he could be a solid wide receiver. I feel like he has the upside. He's boomer bust, right? You can't be super confident taking him, especially off of name value alone. You're like, it's Roma Dunze. He plays on the Bears, right? Bears are behind and they're passing a lot. He might have that 6th round upside, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know DJ Moore is the one in that offense. Cole Kmet probably the next option as far as receiving goes. But after that, I feel like Roma Dunze, and again, think about how Ben Johnson used Jamison Williams when he came back, right, in his rookie year. Now this is his 2nd year here for Dunze. Let's see what kind of pro he can be and get involved in that offense.
Yep. So we're at the very end of the 6th round, and this is where I see the last big name quarterback going off the board, and that's Patrick Mahomes, right? I mean, he's falling into the bottom of the 6th round, top of the 7th round, just due to the last couple of years, right? If you're going off name value alone and you want your team to look good, go with Patrick Mahomes here, right? But again, I'm not going to go reach for Patrick Mahomes here, personally.
Yeah, I think Patrick Mahomes, and at this point, you could also look at Baker Mayfield. Those are 2 guys who have output. It's not tremendous, but Patrick Mahomes probably has the better upside as opposed to Baker Mayfield.
Right. Baker had an excellent year last year, so I can see why you sprinkle in Baker here, right? He's going to go high in drafts now, right? I think he's definitely going to go high on drafts now because the year he had last year, and people are unsure about Patrick Mahomes. There's some people are going to draft just off the name value. We got Cody giving us a comment. Jacoby just wants to get paid. Terry's contract, I bet, twisted his head. So, hey, that's a good point, right?
And if it did, Jacoby Myers is overrating himself a whole lot. He's not Terry McLaurin, unfortunately.
Right. And it all depends on how high you value this guy. How important is he to your team? When you're getting into, he's going to be one of the top available free agents, and he knows this, right? This is he's going to contract year, right? They're expecting him to ball out. He wants to bet on himself. I think that the Raiders don't want to let him go, personally. They want to keep him.
Listen, this is a team who is looking to move forward quickly, right? They got an aging defense coming back, but at the same time, we've got a brand new quarterback. We got, a team that is really trying to fill the pieces in. That's okay if you don't. It's okay if you don't agree with that. I feel like Jacoby Myers is just not as prolific as the output of Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, and it all depends. I mean, we're valuing a guy that we were talking about taking in the fourth round to a guy that we're taking in the sixth round, right?
Right.
So, I mean, obviously the name value Scary Terry is going to sell a little bit more than like a Jacoby Myers, but Jacoby Myers could get a lot of targets. Maybe he balls out. Maybe he balls out this year, and maybe he's worth taking in this late sixth round.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't feel like, he's a throwaway. I just think the comparison is a little bit distorted here.
All right. End of the sixth round. Obviously, we're only covering rounds 5 and 6 tonight, and then we're gonna kind of just do a speed round on the next episode. The last name I like off the board here is I think one of the last good running backs that I trust. And again, you're taking a flyer on rookies, right? I like Caleb Johnson, right? I like Caleb
Yeah.
Johnson here at the end of the sixth round. I think that he has the potential and the upside, right, to win the starting job. Again, I don't like split backfields. I don't like that he's going to share carries, but this is what you're going to get in the sixth round, especially if you waited for a running back at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, we know he's going to split carries with Jaylen Warren, but I feel like if he can put something out there for the Steelers, maybe to keep Jaylen Warren on the sideline a little bit, this is a spot definitely you could consider him to draft, Caleb Johnson. The other guy I like here that has dropped off the face of the earth as far as fantasy the last year is Travis Kelce.
Okay.
I think Travis Kelce here is a guy. I mean, if we're taking Patrick Mahomes, there's no reason why we wouldn't consider Travis Kelce. I mean, I feel like Andy Reid is going to be hell bent on proving that Patrick Mahomes can be the prolific passer he was past the previous 2 years.
Yeah, and maybe we'll just get a mad Patrick Mahomes that wants to reap revenge this year. And some people are banking on it. You know what I mean? On paper, it looks great. Is Mahomes done? No, Mahomes ain't done. But Mahomes ain't the best fantasy quarterback anymore either.
Yeah, I totally agree. And again, he is dealing with a lot of low talent on the perimeter, and injuries, right? So we know that Rashee Rice, got hurt. We know that Xavier Worthy got hurt. We know that Travis Kelce wasn't himself. So can this turn around for them and become another big output year for Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce?
Yep. That's really, I pretty much broke down everyone I got that I like to target in the fifth and sixth round. Any other big names you really want to sprinkle in here before we call it?
I mean, obviously you can take Stephon Diggs here, and Matthew Golden, and the other running back. I mean, I don't know how well he's going to do, but Tyrone Tracy is another guy you could throw out there in the bottom of the sixth round, top of the seventh round, as far as fantasy value.
Yeah, I like that. I like Tyrone Tracy, especially if you're getting him, bottom of the sixth, top of the seventh. I think that is a good spot to draft him.
Yeah, and he should probably be your your running back number 3, right?
Yeah,
If you're looking at him as a number 2, you've missed the boat on running backs.
that's why I consider this the dead zone, right? It
Yeah.
gets real rough trying to find value, and you're going to get split backfields. You're going to be hoping at this point, right? You're going to be hoping that one of these guys will actually pan out, because all the good ones are gone at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at guys who can possibly have an explosive year, or maybe have 4 or 5 weeks that they can string together for you just to get you through some bye weeks of your main running backs. That's what you're looking for here.
Right. All right, Otis. Well, it was fun, man. I'm excited to break down our deep sleepers. This is when it's going to get real juicy, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have to make some bold predictions here. You kind of took mine with Golden, because I am high on Golden. I was going to mention him at the top of the seventh, but I like him. I do like him at the bottom of the sixth. I would reach for a guy like Matthew Golden.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when we get into the next episode here, we're going to be talking about some highlights of round 7 through 10, and then we're going to talk about guys we want to take flyers on. And it's not hard pressed to believe that Matthew Golden is a flyer because of the output of those receivers in that Green Bay offense.
Yep, and I have 2 drafts coming up this weekend. I definitely want your opinions on those 2 drafts. I'll even show you, like, I think you gotta have an idea who I got in my first draft, but I will. I'll definitely go over all my teams with you and see what you think. Exciting draft season's here. We are hot and heavy in it, and this is preseason's done, right? So this is when all the drafts are happening, right?
This is it. I mean, we know pretty much every injury, with the exception of that Joe Mixon, which we had an inkling about. We know every injury there is out there right now.
Right, exactly. So we'll see how this Jacoby Myers contract plays out. We'll see how the Micah Parsons thing goes out for if we're streaming defenses, seeing how high that Cowboys defense should be rated. Maybe we'll even do some defensive rankings
Oh
on the
yeah,
next
we could do
episode.
that. We could do that. Yeah, maybe the top 5 or so that we think would
Yeah,
have make a difference for you.
yeah, exactly. All right, Otis. It was fun. I'm excited for the next episode, and good luck to everyone drafting this weekend. Definitely, come in with a strategy, and whatever falls to you, you either go best available, or you pick the guys you want. Right?
Yeah, I think that you definitely have to come in with a strategy. You definitely have to mock it up as many times as you can. You can do it for free in the ESPN app. Not exclusive to that. You can also do it in other apps, Sleeper as well. I have a couple of leagues in ESPN and a few leagues in Sleeper. Do as many mock drafts as you can to get yourself prepared.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like I have 2 in one day on Sunday.
Yeah.
And so, I really like to ramp myself up, early on to get myself in the mode of being able to pick in the next 30 seconds or whatever your clock is.
Right.
That's an important part of this, is understanding the clock that you have,
Yep. Yeah, I'm drafting the first overall in one league, and then in the other league we're doing, we're going to find out an hour before we draft. So
Yeah.
that should definitely be a bit of a curveball because I've never done that before.
Yeah. And the thing is that about that is when you do mock up, that prepares you if you get different positions. Don't consistently mock up in the same position as far as draft goes. Get yourself in the bottom of a round, get yourself in the middle, get yourself in the top. This way what you're going to have. You're going to pretty much be able to predict what's going to fall to you if you're on the back end, and what's not going to be able to get back to you if you're on the top end.
Yep, I like it. Yep, we will see you on the next episode of the Not Move Podcast, Fantasy Edition. Otis, I hope you have yourself a great night. Have a good dinner, and we will see you next week.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for tuning into the Not Move Podcast Fantasy Football, where stats become stories.